Okay, good evening, everyone. We're continuing with 3 minutes of Tehillim. We're up to Perek, Samach Vav, Psalm 66. There's a theme that struck me that I saw in this, that came out in this Perek, which is the theme of universalism. The Perek is talking not just specifically to the Jewish people, but also to the nations of the world. The first pasuk, it doesn't specifically say to the Jewish people. It says, "Lamnatseach shir mizmor hariu elokim kol haaretz." The entire world should sing out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Zamru Chavod Shemo, to sing out the glory of His name. And continuing in pasuk Hey, L'chu uru'un mifa'alos elokim, that you should go and see the great wonders of Hashem, Nora alila al bnei Adam. Right? This is not just talking to the Jewish people, bnei Adam, to all of mankind. So I thought it would be a great place to quote the introduction that Rav Hirsch has to Tehillim, where he says something that you might be very surprised by, but in this context of this parak, I think it makes a lot of sense. He writes here, this is a translation, obviously, from the original German. He says, David did not expect that the influence of his songs would be limited solely to the spiritual and moral edification and refinement of the generation of his own people. He confidently felt that his psalms would have an impact also upon the spirits and emotions of all other nations. He viewed himself and his songs as a servant and instrumental, I don't know what this means, but in advance to that divinely promised future on earth, when delusions and injustice will have vanished from among men, when the restoration and reverence of the only God, the supreme reign of truth, righteousness, and love, and hence the salvation will be begun on all earth. In other words, when David had a vision of redemption, his vision wasn't just the Jewish people should be back in their homeland and serving in the temple and then forget about the rest of the world. It was a vision for all of mankind to reach redemption, to reach justice, to reach love, and to reach restoration of the way that the world should be. And he says that this has been vindicated, that he writes explicitly that this has been a shining testimony to the divine spirit which rested upon the singer. In other words, David, that has inspired so much faith and confidence far beyond the confines of the Jewish people. Even today, the Psalms still serve to lift up to God the emotions of all those who seek Him, to bring them enlightenment, consolation, and strength, to inspire them to show self-sacrifice devotion in all of their contact on earth. In other words, Tehillim is for the Jewish people. And we spoke about this many, many times, that it's talking about the history of how Hashem has been for us throughout the generations. But it's not just for us. It's for the rest of mankind. But, as I mentioned, there is a specific element of the Jewish people. It's in this parak itself, pasuk Yud Gimel. It tells us that that I'm going to the Beis Hamikdash. I'm going to bring karbanos. I'm going to bring them to you to fulfill my vow. So this is obviously for the Jewish people. So what are we supposed to make of this? So this is a big topic, but just generally speaking, there's obviously a dichotomy of particularism and universalism within Judaism. And I think the point that Rav Hirsch is making is that we should see ourselves as a Jewish people as finding our role. Obviously, we need to focus on ourselves. We need to do what we're supposed to do in this world. But don't forget that brings about a redemption for the entire mankind. And therefore, when we think of Yeshua, we think of redemption, we think of the Yemos HaMashiach, we think of all the things that we wish for. We're not supposed to just think of ourselves. We're supposed to think of what our role in the greater historical context of the world is. And in Mir Hashem, we should see it from here via Aminu.